You're like moshing. Yeah, moshing. I just moshed you.
Dude, I would love to see this guy in a fucking pit, dude.
Oh, man, I fucking rolled the pitch,
well,
bro.
why didn't you come to our show? You were scared.
I know.
You were scared.
I told you, I'm a 401k. I can't be seen at those places. We did one in 98 Vans Warped Tour. Pennywise on. We created this thing called the Alley Oop. Did I tell you about? We talked about that.
Yeah,
we already talked about. That's old stuff.
You didn't invent it, dude.
I know you didn't. I didn't. You can win this shirt. Call in 916-250-2571. Also, you go to touchysubjectshow.com. But you can win this. Guess Fili's credit score.
Just guess my credit score.
Or just convince me. All you have to do is just tell me why I should give this shirt to you.
It's a tough task at hand, dude.
That's all I gotta say. All right, last episode, we spoke about the criminal justice system.
Yeah.
No, we didn't.
The
We
war
talked
on
about
drugs.
drug war.
I started talking about private prison systems, but I think you must have you must have like some stocks, or like
No,
you must have some money invested.
I'm with you. You definitely should not be incentivized to for more people to be in jail.
For longer.
I understand that. I just don't think that's some fucking. I don't think private prison corporations are creating criminals. I mean, I just don't. I don't think
they're creating criminals, but I do think that there is a system in place that makes it so that people go to jail for things that they shouldn't necessarily go to jail for a duration that they definitely shouldn't go to jail for the thing that they did. Does that make sense?
I mean,
I think that. Before we get into education, I think that private prison systems have special interests, and they lobby. And they pay politicians so that politicians pass laws, so that cops enforce laws.
Well, they ain't fucking doing it in California. I'll tell you that much.
Specifically in poor neighborhoods, and then people go to jail for, especially first-time nonviolent offenders for drug offenses, and they go to jail for a very long time.
That may be true. There's no evidence to support that that's actually happening, and I just don't. There's no evidence that they're going purposely that private prisons are telling politicians to force people to go to.
For sure.
I don't.
Well, we just talked about conspiracy theories.
Yeah,
and how valid they are.
I just there's no evidence of that's happening though. I mean, people are still committing the crime. Like so I mean,
for sure. But
if you don't commit the crime, you don't fucking go to jail.
100%. But didn't we just talk about last episode that sometimes the crime or the laws are unjust and people are being arrested for things they shouldn't be arrested for?
But no. Well, yeah. I mean, we're talking about weed, but not anymore. Not now. I mean, like if there's a law that is,
or if someone's arrested for a small amount of cocaine, they get much more time in prison than they probably should.
Yeah,
right.
But like, there's no evidence to connect that to somebody that's running a private prison.
Agreed. There's also no evidence.
And they still did the crime too. So you can make an argument that there's
also no evidence to show that 95% of that fucking world's cocaine is being brought here by the same people who want us to occupy that place in an endless war, but it makes perfect sense.
It makes perfect sense, but like I don't see the connection. You say I own a private prison. I am incentivized to have more people in prison, right?
Yeah.
Even though they are letting more people out because there's not enough prisons. So ignore that fact, okay?
They're also transferring people from federal and state prisons to private prisons. There are people who are opening up private prisons going, no, don't let them out. Send them here. You can just pay us an amount of money.
I mean, but
both things are happening.
One would say that that's being done because those private prisons are run far more less expensive and more efficient than the state prisons are doing it. So, and that that may be happening. There's not evidence to show that a guy that owns a private prison is somehow forcing people to be in that prison.
Not forcing, no.
Or causing
but using
or
influence and power to get more. I mean,
But what are they doing? Like, yeah, that should be a very easy thing to show. It's like, okay, well, they are
not necessarily. It's like,
everybody that walked down the street with red shoes on got put to jail because this guy fucking made the red shoe law or something. Like, I mean, show me.
I don't follow you.
Well, you're saying that people are being put in prison unjustly, so a private prison owner corporation can make more money.
Right. That's what I believe. I believe that, yes.
But you have to show some type of evidence to show that.
That America has more people in prison than any other place.
People are committing more crimes.
I understand
people
that.
commit more crimes here than any other country.
I understand that, but if a crime is predicated on what the law says, and if the law is made in a way,
so explain to me what
I'm
the
saying
crime
is if the law is made in a way where it's easy to, especially in an impoverished neighborhood or a neighborhood where drugs are very prevalent, it's very easy to break a law that is made with the intention of entrapping people and making sure that when they do get arrested, they spend a lot of time in prison.
But what law? So what law do you say is not? What law?
Do I think it's enforced unjustly? Like,
yes,
yeah, like drug offenses.
Drug offenses.
Like we talked about.
So we talked about.
So you're like, yes, someone's still breaking the law. Like, well,
okay,
yeah, but the law is designed to be broken.
So show me evidence where private prison corporations are somehow influencing us to prosecute people.
I cannot do that. I can't do that.
You can't do
this
that.
Is my thought. Just like, like you can't show me evidence that the heroin from Afghanistan is being transported here by the same people who want us to be there and occupy that. Like you can't show me, but it makes perfect sense. Is what I'm saying. I'm not saying I have
but
slam dunk
but
proof.
Also, but you are.
How is it different?
It's different because you're ignoring a bunch of other evidence to counteract that.
Like what?
Like, people don't want fucking drug addicts running around their neighborhood. And
100%.
And so they say, hey, politicians, lock these fucking drug addicts up, get them out of my neighborhood.
I don't think they do that. No.
What do you mean?
I think.
You tell me that's not a. You're telling me just the public sentiment.
I'm telling you that I'm telling you in the neighborhoods that most people are being imprisoned from. The people in those neighborhoods aren't saying, "Come take my dad and uncles and brothers."
No, they're not saying that. I'm not the person that got his take away.
Hey, my uncle.
I'm saying a general.
Hey, my uncle has a small amount of drugs in his pocket. You better come get him to clean this neighborhood up.
General consensus.
I would hate to see my dad for the next 20 years.
I'm saying a general consensus with the majority of the population is they don't want drug addicts running around their neighborhood.
150 million fucking %.
Yes. Okay.
Right.
So politicians are playing. They're going to advocate for what the general population wants.
I think
that's what they're doing.
I think the general population wants rehabilitation, and I think they want.
Oh, but I'm not.
The general population doesn't want people to go to prison.
What I'm saying is that
a decade for a dubstep.
What I'm saying is that the guy that owns a private prison, he may want people in prison, but also so does everybody else in the fucking else in the area.
I disagree.
Wants the people
that
are committing crimes.
Call you on air. Hold on. I disagree because the people in the area that are related to or are part of the same neighborhoods or are somehow related.
So
they
don't want criminals to go to jail.
They want. Well, are you a criminal for having a small amount of drugs in your pocket?
Well,
that's what I'm saying.
I mean, that's
hold on, caller.
I mean, that's the whole fucking point. So you're
I'm saying
your logic is that the reason we lock people up having a small amount of drugs on them
for much longer than they should,
much longer
an amount that is
much longer they have is because private prisons want that.
I think that's part of it. Yeah, I think politicians. I think that yeah, politicians pass laws, and I think that
but you also said you said 150 million % that the general public also wants that.
I didn't say 150 million % of anything, did I? Did I say the words 150 million %?
Oh, the neighborhoods don't want
criminals. They don't want druggies.
I don't think anybody wants drug addicts, but they also don't want their neighbors and brothers and fathers and uncles to go to prison for a decade over a small amount of drugs.
Yeah, no, I understand.
You can have both things,
but they committed crimes though. People don't want fucking
100%. But if the laws are unjust, I mean.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is there's no way to tell.
Caller, stick with us.
There's no way to tell that the fucking private prisons are causing.
I think the war on drugs benefits law enforcement because it gives them someone to go.
It benefits a lot of people.
If you didn't have the war on drugs, you didn't have legislation that attacked.
Okay.
If you have non-violent drug offenders, then you'd have a lot less people for police to arrest. You'd have a lot less jobs for people in the jails to work. And you'd have a lot less money. You'd have a lot less revenue going in.
Okay. Well, what about
for a private prison? Call or stick with us.
What about the state prison workers union? Should they be disbanded because they have an incentive to have more people in prisons? Why is the blame not on the state? So all the state prisons, all the people that work at the state prisons are in a union.
You're right.
Yeah. Well, they have a clear incentive to
100%.
And so does the state.
100%.
So does the state worker.
Yeah, dude.
So, but I mean,
I'm with you.
I'm just saying
You're saying there's no evidence.
What's that?
You're saying there's no evidence.
I'm not saying there's no evidence. I'm just saying
there was no evidence.
Your logic is flawed.
I disagree.
It's just flawed.
I think that there's a system set in place.
But it's not a system set in place.
It's not.
You need a system to put fucking criminals in jail.
100%. But you are not a criminal because you have a small amount of drugs on you or you're a first-time drug offender.
But that's regardless. That's regardless to a private prison. We need prisons, right?
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah, and so you think those prisons should be state-run versus privately run?
I would think so. Yeah,
that's what you're thinking.
I would think so.
And the reason that
I think it's a conflict of interest. I think.
But let me finish that. So your logic is the reason why they should be state-run versus privately owned is because the guy that runs the privately owned has a conflict of interest because he wants more criminals in jail
for longer.
Yes. Okay.
For disproportionate amount of time.
The reason your logic is flawed is because, conversely, the state prisons also have an incentive to have people in jail for longer.
And I also think that the way inmates are treated in state prisons is dog shit. I think it's basically when you have
but that's a separate fucking
Okay, but what I'm saying is
you're a separate
what I'm
argument.
saying is the state can have its own reasons
we're arguing
for
versus private versus state prisons.
Okay, but I'm saying is
now if you
do need prisons, right?
Okay.
And I'm not saying that the people that run state prisons aren't also incentivized to get more people in prison.
Yeah.
But I'm saying specifically, you don't need private prisons. You do need state prisons, but you don't.
Why do you need state prisons? Why can't they all be privately run?
Because I think there's more incentive in a private prison for someone that gets paid by the amount of fucking inmates and how long they're going to be there for. I think it's a direct conflict of interest.
What do you think the fucking union dues get? They actually get more. They're probably more incentivized because then they have
based on what more incentivized how? Like how are they more incentivized?
Because because they'll have more fucking jobs. They need a union.
I think
a union.
You hate unions.
No, I don't hate unions. I'm just pointing out the fucking you're making a point that we shouldn't have private prisons because of this inherent incentive that's there.
That's
your argument.
My argument is that you should not. Time out. My argument is that you should not incarcerate people for long amounts of time for small drug offenses or really any drug offense.
That is a separate argument. That's a separate
and
argument.
I'm saying that private prisons are incentivized to lock people up more often and longer. And your argument might be that the state-run prison is also incentivized. And we can talk about how state-run prisons also treat inmates like shit and basically run slave labor.
But that don't even get into that.
Okay, but so then don't bring up state prisons. What I'm saying is I'm saying that you can't prove that private prison owners, these corporations don't lobby for special interests and they don't fucking pass laws.
And so does the state prison.
Okay, I believe that.
So however you cut it,
okay,
there is a group of people out there.
Okay, so your point is that not just private prison systems are run the wrong way, but all prisons are run the wrong way. Is that your point?
No, I'm not arguing either. I'm not saying they're run the wrong way.
Because I will concede that private prison and state prisons probably have incentives.
I will concede that there's problems in every single fucking system that you can look at.
But especially the prison
system.
But especially the prison system.
I wouldn't say, I don't think there's any more in the state or private or the fucking DMV, whatever you want to call
nonsense.
Whatever you want to say.
The DMV doesn't have people. When there was California wildfires, there was inmates that were going out and risking their lives fighting wildfires alongside regular firefighters.
Yeah.
Except they weren't getting paid $80,000 a year. They didn't have retirements. They didn't have 401k plans. They were making pennies on the dollar, actual fucking slave wages, putting their life on the line. And then not only do they get paid dog shit for risking their lives to fight fires next to regular firefighters. But when they get out of prison, they're not eligible to be firefighters because of their arrest record, even though they've fought fires. Are you telling me that?
But that has nothing. That has fucking nothing. That has nothing to do.
It has to do with what you just said about the DMV. Are you telling me that injustices like that happen in systems like the DMV? All systems may have some amount of being run the wrong way.
Well,
are you telling me that injustices like that happen at places like the DMV?
Well, one, I don't think that's
nonsense.
I don't think that's an injustice.
You don't. Okay, this is fucking insane. Let's get on that. You don't think it's an injustice?
Hey, sir, are you on the phone, sir? Why don't you tell Fili how he's wrong about this?
Yeah. I'd love to hear about how it's not an injustice to fight fires for pennies on a dollar and then not be eligible to be a firefighter later.
They didn't force him to fucking fight the fire.
No, of course they fucking didn't.
They asked him if they want to go out and fight the
100%.
fire, and they did that. They did that.
Yes.
And you know what? And they
them-
fucking should do it because they should pay their debt back to society.
Yeah, for sure.
Because they fucking owe us.
You
they
for
fucking
sure
took
have
from
some
us.
stock in
Because they're a bunch
private
of fucking
prisons.
scumbags.
This
But go
fucking
ahead.
guy hates unions and he has fucking money in private prisons.
You're putting words in my mouth. Go ahead, sir. You tell me.
Alright, so first of all, my cousin's in San
Yeah, you want a t-shirt?
Hold on. What did he say? Yeah.
He said he wants the t-shirt.
Sorry. Hey, go ahead, brother. Go ahead. We're turning.
First of all, my cousin's in San Quentin right now, and his name's Jerry. You know him, Fili.
Free the homie Jerry.
Yep.
What did he do? How was he unjustly put into prison?
Let him talk.
I'm asking a question.
Hold on, man.
All right.
Crazy is, well, let's not even speak on this man because he's running businesses from inside, taking care of multiple things and families and the whole shit. But if back to your whole conversation, private prisons like the whole. So first of all, I have family on both sides of this. I have family who are correctional officers as well, and you get paid on average. I think it's like $5,000 to $7,000 less to work at a private prison. So if you're talking, you were arguing unions and this and that. If you worked for a state and for a state prison, you would actually be getting paid more with better benefits.
Okay.
These private prisons are all more profit. More prisons have been built since than colleges, since like 2000.
That's bullshit, but go ahead.
It's true.
No, that's fact.
It's true.
Bullshit.
Especially in California. I think it's
Bullshit.
Sorry, my co-host always asks for facts, but then when presented with them, hates them.
So
the only thing he hates more than facts is unions.
More prisons is built.
The only thing this guy hates more than facts is a good union.
You're telling me more prisons have been built than colleges?
Can you Google this, sir? Yes.
I'm looking it up right now.
Well, because we have more fucking crime.
I'm speaking
Okay,
California.
is it true or not true though?
But we had all the.
It's definitely true.
We have
It's
more
definitely
people in
true.
college than we've ever had in the history of the
Yeah,
world.
but that's not the argument. The man said more colleges.
Well, how many more fucking colleges do we need?
I'm not saying we need more, but you're saying he's lying.
We're saying we need more.
No, we're not saying we need more colleges. We're saying more prisons have been built than colleges.
I'm saying.
Listen, the man just said a fact, and you said it was bullshit. Now we're changing the subject.
It's a bullshit narrative. Like
Now-
there's something wrong with that.
Back to the talk about unions versus private prisons and state prisons. Private prisons, first of all, they're, as you said, like the conditions are way more horrible. The state prisons aren't any better at all. But not only are these private prisons cutting corners here and there, and they're literally making money off of these people and just running them for profit on multiple things. They're offering less programs, rehabilitation programs back to the people, and then, like Fili said, is they're holding them for these low-level drug offenses. And not only are they putting different programs in neighborhoods and holding people up, is you could look at these programs such as like Just for Cannabis. That's why the equity program in cannabis exists, because so many people were put in these and incarcerated for selling weed, people of color in high traffic zones such as like Oakland, San Francisco, and they weren't targeting white people selling weed or none of the growers in Humboldt. They were taking all the people pushing the sacks in the city and then throwing them in for 10, 20 years. And what do you have on you? QP, a pound?
Right.
It's
not different than when you look at the arrest records in the 80s for cocaine. It was a huge disparity in poor black neighborhoods, people being arrested for crack and getting decades worth of time, but you didn't see college kids in white neighborhoods getting arrested for the cocaine they were doing at parties. They're both cocaine offenses, but there's a very specific targeted demographic.
Okay, so now it's drugs are racist. Okay, that's a good one.
No, drugs aren't racist, but policies can be racist.
Okay.
Policies can for sure be racist.
That's very
All right,
true.
we're
Back
going
to
down
this,
that one. Okay.
California
Policies aren't.
Okay, yeah.
That's right. There's no
That's a good
systemic
one.
racism. Sorry, my co-host
yeah.
also doesn't think that systemic racism is a thing.
It's not.
It's not for sure. It's bullshit.
It's because
definitely
he's never had to battle it. So,
true.
Oh
That's
yeah,
true.
of course. I've never had a
There's no problem
battle.
with it.
I'm just living on my white privilege. Just living
No,
it up on my white privilege over here. That's right.
That's the definition
Yeah,
of white privilege.
I'm sorry. I don't fucking commit
Being
crimes.
ignorant to
What do you want me to fucking do?
You've never committed a crime?
No, I don't commit crimes.
You've never committed a crime.
Well, I'm saying, no, I don't.
You've never committed a crime?
No, I haven't.
That's asinine.
Nonsense.
Nonsense.
I mean, it's
Nonsense.
such bullshit. If anything,
Nonsense.
if
So back
anything,
to his thing,
all
he was
the
about facts,
fucking.
investing. California invests $64,000 per prisoner compared to $11,000 per student. $53,000 difference in spending priorities. The reason included an incarceration rate has tripled over the past 3 decades at a higher cost, comparing the prisons 24 hours a day to the higher number of workers required to operate a prison. New York, Connecticut, New Jersey, Rhode Island, and Round Tip are top states in competing in private prisons.
Read
US spends more-
Wikipedia, dude. I don't need a
No,
fucking. I don't need a fucking college lesson here. I mean, okay,
Yeah,
so
so you
this is a
were
good good statistic
But you
of
were all about
bullshit
facts,
right
and
here.
I'll
Okay,
let you a couple facts.
hold on, sir. Hold on,
I'll
sir.
let you guys
There
have a
are
good day.
1,800 federal and state prisons and 3,200 local jails, which outnumber the approximate number of 4,600 colleges. Okay. Oh, well, that's good. Well, dude, you're counting every fucking local jail. Every police station has a fucking local jail. So every single little podunk city, town in the United States has a fucking jail in it. And so you're going to add that in statistics to put your narrative? It's bullshit. It's just bullshit.
Why?
The idea that
why is counting a jail bullshit though?
Well, I'm just saying.
I'm saying why is it bullshit?
I'm saying
I'm asking
what
generally.
I'm saying is the narrative is bullshit. This narrative is that the only reason we have people in jail is because of some systematic policies that are just set out there to hurt a certain segment of the population.
How many people
It's
in your family?
bullshit.
How many people in your family have been to jail?
No one has committed any fucking crimes, or at least serious crimes. To do
Okay,
it.
I'm saying how many. So I'm saying, I think that your perspective is off base. I think when you grow up in areas where people are being arrested, I think when you grow up around people who have been to prison for things for a long time,
Understood.
I think that your perspective is different. I think that your perspective shifts. I also think.
But what? So
I also think that you've swung so far the other way. Like,
how am I?
There are
swinging far
murders.
over the-
There are murderers, and there are rapists, and there are genuinely bad people in prison.
Yeah.
But there are far more drug offenses, and there are far more people in jail for things that their crime, the amount of time they're serving, there is a huge disparity for what they did and the amount of time that they're serving. There are many more.
I'm not fucking denying that
Everyone in jail is not a murderer or a rapist.
and I'm not fucking denying that. I'm not denying that. But the reality of the fucking situation, the narrative that we're just picking people off the street that are completely innocent.
But no one is saying
based on their race and their color. That's the narrative.
That's not what we're saying.
And they're in jail.
That might be some.
That's the fucking.
That might be some people's narrative, but that's not what I'm saying.
This guy's narrative.
That's not what we're fucking saying.
That's what this guy's narrative is saying.
The overwhelming number of inmates are black and Latino. I mean, that's just a fact.
Yeah.
So I'm
they
saying
commit more crime.
Yeah, in worse neighborhoods, or they're in neighborhoods that are patrolled much more by police, for sure.
What you want them to go fucking patrol El Dorado Hills?
Have you ever been to El Dorado Hills? I've seen a lot of crime in El Dorado Hills.
I don't know.
I've seen white kids from El Dorado Hills.
Fucking...
I've seen white kids from El Dorado Hills snort fucking a line as long as this room, but there was no cops around.
Okay, well, there's no cops around.
Yeah, 100%. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, where is most of the violent crime taking place at?
Yeah, in the inner city, right?
What
in
about,
the city.
what about
And is it systemic? I'm saying that just happens to be more crime, more police, and more drugs in the inner city.
Jason, I want you guys tell me.
Is this all random, or is there some
perspective
systemic?
on it.
Is there
Am
some
I fucking like
I
people are
think where
fucking
the
committing crimes? They go to jail. What the fuck do you want me to say? Like there's no secret agenda out there to get people.
Yeah, but there's a different weight to what drugs If you get caught with some coke, sure, whatever, right? It's like kind of a slap on the wrist. But if you got just a little crack of a little piece of crack, you're getting locked up.
Okay.
For a long period of time.
Yeah, so,
there was legislation passed specifically for that. And you can say that, oh well, crack's worse than coke or blah blah blah. It's like it is pretty easy to see that it's a systemic attack on certain neighborhoods. If you have a neighborhood full of poor black people doing crack, a neighborhood full of rich white people doing coke, and crack gets you 3 times as much time in prison, it's not fucking hard to see. In my opinion, it's just like I'm with you on the fucking Afghan thing. I'm with you on these things. It's not that hard to see. Like, you can put 2 and 2 together. Like,
what do you have to say, sir?
So I think the difference in what you guys were talking about is there's sensing differences for sure. It's like you could take 2 people who do the same crime, and one person's of color, and they're going to get a longer sentence. I have a cousin who's white. Who I'm
bullshit.
About,
I don't think it's bullshit. It's bullshit. That's fucking bullshit.
I'm talking about 2 of my cousins who are in prison right now.
Well, because they committed fucking crimes. What do you want?
Yeah, but he's saying. Go ahead. You explain.
One got along. No, because I'm talking about 2 different cousins. One who lives in Del Paso Heights, who is in a bad neighborhood. Everything else, yeah, whatever. Got caught with a gun, white. Cool. Got work project, got it dropped because it's a wobble, and got it dropped to a misdemeanor. One cousin's Mexican, got caught with a gun in the same neighborhood a block away, gets a felony, and got 3 years, 5 years probation.
Well, I'm telling you, I'm with you. I agree 100%. It's the same. When you see men and women getting arrested for the exact same crime, men do 70% more time or some crazy number like that for the same exact crime. There's disparities. There are fucking disparities. It's not when you're around the shit, you see it. Like, it's not some false narrative that people are just like, it's easier to say this than to fucking fix our neighborhood and do this. It's like, I understand that there are bullshit narratives, but there's a lot of truth to this. There's a lot of corrupt bullshit. There's a lot of systemic oppression. I've watched it. I've seen the shit. And I understand that you haven't seen it and you think it's a false narrative.
I've seen it, but you see it because you are looking for it. That's why. That you're looking for the systemic. You're putting pieces together.
Okay, well then you miss it. You miss it because you don't want to see it.
No, I don't miss it because I'm looking at it in an objective way.
If you can say that I see it because I want to see it, then you miss it because you don't. It's the same thing.
I mean, so give me an example.
We just talked about.
No, I'm saying, give me an example.
Him and I just gave you 2. He just gave you an example.
You gave me an example of one incident where he had one cousin that had a gun charge, and he has another cousin that had a gun charge.
Right.
And one cousin didn't go to jail for that.
Not only did one cousin not go to jail,
the logic that is just because the one cousin was white and the other one was Hispanic, which is fucking white too, by the way. But
not to a judge, not to the judge, obviously.
But having those 2 scenarios, that does not validate your point in any way. That's just we don't know the circumstances of it. It was an identical crime. We don't know if his other cousin had priors to that.
Time out.
We don't know if
how can last episode we talk about the fucking the globalist cabal and heroin going from an occupied place to our streets, and have no proof, and you're completely on board.
There's no proof. I didn't say that I had proof. I just said
there's no. I said there. You didn't say you had proof. There's no proof, but you and I can use our logical brain and look at it and go, yeah, it does make sense. But what we're saying, even though you're like, that's not proof, it's anecdotal. But it makes sense, and there's lots of examples of it. But because you don't like the narrative,
there's
lots of examples. You're like, nah, coincidence.
There's a lot of examples of that's contrary to that.
What you got? I got it.
Okay,
I know you're.
Yeah, they're.
Hold on, just a sec. Our producer's got something pulled up.
Kids for Cash scandal. If you're aware of this.
Yeah, I know that was back in fucking.
So that goes with what Fili was saying about a judge, getting bribed.
Yeah, and he went to fucking.
No.
He got in trouble for that.
Right. Okay.
But,
time out. He got in trouble for it. But it's an example, so please, I want to know how it is.
Yeah, and so for, handing out harsh sentences on teenagers, so
explain for people listening.
So that way, he got, a large sum of money with these private detention centers.
Yeah.
That gave this judge money to go ahead and hand out long sentences to teenagers that may have committed a small crime that shouldn't have serve any kind of time.
So that they could spend time in the private prisons.
Right,
and
in the detention center, and then get paid, because then the person that owns the detention centers gets paid based on attendance, right?
So okay, so time out. So now we have a clear example that validates what I'm saying.
Yes.
And your argument is, well, he got in trouble for doing that.
Well, that was corruption.
My whole point is that the system has a lot of corruption, and there are.
I never argued that there isn't corruption. I never argued that.
But you argue that it doesn't happen. You argue that it's a false. You argue it's a false narrative.
I'm saying there's corruption either way, the way that you go. Oh. So there's also corruption on. You were arguing versus private versus public.
That's
prison.
not what I argued. You stop. I talked about
time.
No. Time out. Time the fuck out before we get caught down this rabbit hole. My argument was that the private prison system is corrupt, and then you started comparing it to the state system and said that's also corrupt.
Yes.
But my fucking point was that the private prison system is corrupt, and now we have an example of it that he just documented and laid out for us.
Yeah, and I know that case.
Okay.
That was in Michael Moore's movie Capitalism.
Okay.
So
the private prison system has been proven to be corrupt.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Did I ever say that? Did I ever say it's not corrupt?
But taking it one step further, I think Fili agrees also when he'll confirm here that yes, the state also has its own set of.
It also has corruption.
100%.
So my point is, however you cut it up, you're going to have corruption.
Okay, but it's worth talking about. It's worth acknowledging, and it's not, as you said, the same kind of corruption that you find in a system like the DMV. It's real. It's fucking human beings. It's human beings.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about injustices, and that is you're talking about the justice system. So I mean, that's where you judge justice, should we say? So
right.
I mean, that is definitely going to be the severity of the injustices are going to be there. But when you have like say a DMV, and you say you have a state worker there that is told by their union rep to never do anything outside of their own job title because they're not being quote unquote paid for it or whatever it is, because they want the state to have more, because they want to have more employees there.
Yeah.
So they can lobby the fucking state
more money, yeah.
state politicians to increase the budget for the fucking DMV.
You
so
hate
they can
unions.
have 15. So they got 15 fucking people there sitting around doing nothing.
This guy hates unions.
No, you hate.
I'm with you.
I'm with you. I can say the same thing as you hate private business. I'm just saying there's fucking corruption.
I love private business. I own a private business. I just don't like private prisons.
But my point is, however you're going to cut it up, there's going to be fucking corruption.
Okay.
No matter what you do. So the idea that.
So then it's not a false narrative. So then it's not a false narrative.
It's a
private prison.
It's a false narrative.
Private prison systems incentivizing the incarceration of people for longer sentences is not a false narrative.
You're not fixing any problem by. Let's say we eliminated all private prisons.
Okay.
There's no problem that's being fixed with that.
Then maybe that's not the solution, but that's not what the fuck I'm arguing. I am arguing that it is a flawed system. That was this whole thing's arguing.
Okay, well then, when you could come up with a better system,
let's do it.
Right, let's do it.
Next episode, let's
have some
brainstorm.
action here.
Next episode, let's brainstorm. But we can't start the action until you fucking acknowledge that it's a corrupt system and that it's not the right way to fucking do it, and it's not a false narrative.
Well, what I'm saying is,
what you were saying was it was a false narrative.
I'm saying that a private prison is corrupt, same as a fucking state prison would be, same as a fucking
federal prison,
same as a fucking DMV,
right?
Same as a fucking, you name it, it would be. It's going to be corrupt.
It's all corrupt, but what about systematic oppression?
Shut up.
I'm with you.
Get out
I'm with you. I'm fucking with you.
Systematic oppression.
We're running out of time. This motherfucker hates unions. He hates minorities, and he hates homeless people.
All right,
man.
All right, I'll let you off the hook right now
if
you can guess Fili's credit score.
If you can guess my credit score, you win the fucking shirt. I'm tired of looking at it.
740.
Oh, damn.
You're not supposed to give any clues.
I'm not giving any clues.
Is that right or wrong?
It is not right, but it's you're warm. You're getting warm.
Oh damn!
You're getting warm.
Clues.
Okay, I see you.
Yeah.
All right. It was all that systematic
I'll say this:
oppression.
closest guess so far.
What's that, Jason Smith? Call in next time, dude.
Call in next time. Hey, keep calling in, bro. We
Try
appreciate
not to
you.
be oppressed too much.
Hey,
right,
sorry about
right.
this fucking colonizer next to me, dude. Shit's real.
So it's just such a dumb argument.
I know it's all false narratives.
It's dumb. Well,
Yeah, dude.
What did I? Oh, hey, so come up with a fucking better system.
Let's do it.
I don't have a better system.
Yeah.
That's why I'm not. That's why I'm saying it's, dude.
So what I'm saying is, unless you have, so I'm saying, let's do next episode. Let's fucking come up with a better system.
You should have one. If
let's
you're
stay
going
on
to
this.
argue against this system, you're saying that the system's terrible, it's corrupt, or everything. I'm not saying that there's not injustices.
I disagree. I think you can argue the system without having. I'm not saying it's an easy fix.
It's not. There's no easy fix.
There's on most big issues. There's no easy fix. But does that mean you just ignore the fucking problem or the issue? But yeah.
No one's. That's my point.
It's gonna
That's
be
my
super
point.
tough to fix
All
this
you
fucking shit.
No one ignores it. All you hear is just people nonstop talking about how private prisons and all. It's just this. It's just a. It's the.
No, we should ignore every problem.
Endless.
We should.
It's just endless.
We should ignore.
Endless.
I'm asking you: should you ignore a problem that you don't have a solution to? You should ignore it.
Should you ignore a problem you don't have a solution?
Should you ignore a problem that you don't have the fucking perfect solution to?
No, but
if
you
see
shouldn't.
a problem.
You shouldn't fucking obsess over this problem.
I'm not obsessing over it.
If you don't have a solution,
I'm not obsessing over it, but I'm not obsessing over it, but it doesn't make it a false narrative.
It's a false narrative of.
It's not a false narrative.
The amount of energy that's put into it that with no solution to.
Yeah, but your dad isn't in prison. Your brothers aren't in prison. Your uncle's not in prison. So
let me reframe
it might seem like not that big of a deal.
Let me reframe it.
But to someone who's affected by it, it's not.
What I said was incorrect. The reason it's a false narrative is because that the idea that a private prison, if you take them away, will eliminate corruption. The reason that's a false narrative is because if you take away the private prison, that corruption will still exist through the state prisons.
Agreed.
That's why it's a false narrative.
Agreed.
Okay. That's all I'm saying.
So
I did
the
not
solution
articulate that correctly earlier.
Okay.
All right.
So the solution, obviously we don't have time to get into a deep solution, but the solution would be a private prison or a state prison that treats inmates like human beings with the respect of a human being, that offers chances to rehabilitate and programs to rehabilitate and to give back to the community, and pays them for things like fighting fires.
No, bullshit.
Fuck off.
You're talking
fighting
about,
a fire next to a firefighter.
You're bringing up all these other things.
That's not another thing. That is part of it. That is part of the way people are treated in prison. To do work and make fucking slave labor, especially dangerous work like fight a fire that actually helps the fucking state and make pennies on the dollar, and then when you get released from prison, that doesn't go on your resume that you were a fucking firefighter, even though you're shoulder to shoulder with other people. A firefighter that works at precinct whatever the fuck is a hero because he went out and fought the fires. But a guy who got arrested for a drug possession and fought shoulder to shoulder with the fucking guy and stopped the fire, he's not a hero. He goes back to his fucking cell. He made $20 today. That's fucking asinine.
Again, that guy chose to fight that fire. They're not forcing people.
Yes, he did.
So,
The other guy chose to go fight the fire too. Okay, look, as much as people want to be like, yeah, man, cops and firefighters are all these altruistic heroes. True, fucking whatever.
But
that's
what to do it.
But they're getting paid $80,000 or $100,000 a year to do it. Sure. Fine. This guy, I'm not saying give him $80,000 while he's in prison.
But he knew the deal going into the fighting the fire.
He knew the deal going into it, but it's still a fucking raw deal.
So what? He made the deal.
Get the fuck out of here. It's still a raw deal.
But what do you care about what deal he makes?
It's important to treat human beings like human beings.
I bought a Robopong 1040 for $1,000 6 years ago.
Not the same.
I paid $1,000 for a fucking machine to shoot a fucking ping pong ball at me so I could hit it back, right?
Not the same.
What the fuck? Do you care what deal I made for that? That was a stupid purchase.
That's a stupid ass purchase.
No, it's not.
That's a dumb ass purchase.
He made a deal to go fight a fucking fire. That's his deal to make. He could do that or sit in the fucking...
sit in the cell, right. That is not the same as you buying a fucking ping pong robot.
It's my personal choice to buy a fucking ping pong robot or go fight a fire. I could have went and fought a fire for free too. What the fuck's your point?
No, you couldn't.
How is that? I don't understand.
You're not. Listen, let's be honest. You're not passing the fucking physical for the fire academy. Knock it off. I'll
fuck that physical up.
Second, to treat people like human beings is fucking important. It doesn't matter if they're a criminal or not.
Dude, but that's an endless fucking. That's an endless route you'll go down. What does that mean? Treat him like
it's
a
a
human
worthwhile
being?
route. It's a worthwhile.
What does
route.
that mean? What does that mean? Treat him like a human being. What the fuck does that mean?
To pay them an adequate amount for
What's
fighting
an
a
adequate
fire.
amount?
Well, we can fucking figure that out, but it isn't the $20 a day they're making. That's for goddamn sure.
Well,
and it isn't saying that you, because of whatever I understand that if you're a fucking child molester or a murderer, you shouldn't be eligible for jobs like that. But there are crimes that you can commit as a young man, and then as a middle-aged man, you should be eligible to be a firefighter, having fought back a fucking huge
and that's like a
California
work
fire.
release program. I'm pretty sure they have programs like that. And then maybe if you want to say there needs to be more better programs, fine. I mean,
I don't know. You're
I don't know. I don't know that. But
treating people good is not a fucking.
Yeah, but what
treating
you're
people
saying,
like human beings is a fight worth fighting. It doesn't matter if it's endless or not.
what
It's
the
fucking
fuck
nonsense.
does that mean?
You said it's an
What the
endless.
fuck does that mean?
You said it's
Treat
an
like a human
endless
being?
fight. You said it's an endless fight to fucking. It's like it's a worthwhile one. It's for sure a worthwhile one.
But what the fuck does that mean?
To treat people like human beings, to pay them a fair salary for the work they're doing, whether they're a fucking inmate or not. What do you mean? That's what it means.
Dude,
That's
what I'm
distinctly
saying
what it means.
that is so
to make sure
subjective.
to make sure
it's so subjective.
No, the fuck it's not. To pay someone a fair amount for the work they're doing, to feed them a meal that is nutritious. It's not some dog shit fucking sack lunch soggy PB&J. To give them, to provide them opportunities to get an education or to learn skills to be a productive member of society when they leave the detention center, to have social workers and rehabilitation. These are fucking concrete things. This is not some crazy abstract idea I'm painting. I just gave you 5 fucking concrete examples of how you can treat an inmate like a human being.
I understand what you're saying, and we're gonna wrap it up because we've gone too far on this.
No, I love it. Come on.
I mean, I don't know how much longer I need to be right for.
I don't know how many more concrete examples I need to get. I'm like, hey, here's the thing. And you're like, it's abstract. I can't picture it in my mind.
But the reality of the situation, those things that you're advocating, you're advocating for better conditions.
No, I'm saying you asked me you asked me what the solution was.
I know,
so I'm
but
telling
you're
you a
saying
private prison system that does these things.
Advocating for better conditions for prison inmates. That's what you're advocating for.
Yes, 100%.
Okay, well, that's fine. That's your issue. Most people don't fucking care about that.
But you're not talking to most people. You're talking to me, and you said come up with a solution.
Yeah,
so I did.
But what I'm saying, but the solution.
you said it's a false narrative, and then we proved it wasn't a false narrative.
No,
then you
no,
said
no.
time out. You said it's a false narrative, and then he pulled up a concrete fucking example, and then you asked me, well, you don't just bitch about it, fix it, and then I just gave you examples on ways to fix it.
No, I said originally the argument was about private and state prisons, and I proved, and I said the reason it's a false narrative is because the narrative is that if you get rid of private prisons, you're going to get rid of corruption, and I proved that narrative is false because if you get rid of private prisons, there will still be corruption. And
the only thing you proved is that you hate unions and you hate facts.
Will you admit we agreed on that?
That both I will admit that both private and state and federal prisons have a level of corruption.
And if you get rid of private prisons, that won't eliminate the corruption.
Okay, what if you improve private prisons like I just said?
We'll leave it at that. We agreed on that. Now what the next step, or I'm gonna sum this up. Next step is that you feel the prison conditions need to be improved for the better health of the inmate and in society as a whole. That's what you feel.
Yes, but
okay.
I want to.
That's a separate argument.
Before we turn this off.
Okay.
Before we turn this off, is private prison corruption a false narrative?
I never said it was.
Get the fuck out of here!
Okay.
Talk to your man.
Well, okay, Fili. Let me say.
Yes, you did.
Okay.
This whole thing started.
And then I corrected myself. Okay, and I apologize for that. My point is
okay.
saying.
I'm just asking you. I can agree. I can agree that there's corruption on federal, state,
yes.
and private prisons.
Yes.
Would you agree? I'll agree with you on that. Would you agree that that the corruption in so it's literally yours is predicated on mine. If you can say there's corruption in the state, federal, and private prison system, then you can agree that there being corruption in the private prison system, one of the 3 you just named, is not a false narrative. It is a proven fact.
Yeah, and I agree, and
Okay.
I said I did not
Okay.
articulate myself
Okay.
earlier correctly when I was saying.
I'm with you.
Okay.
Agreed.
All right.
No one thought we could do it. We fucking
we
did
agreed.
it.
That
We
you know
did
that
it.
that is how two
We
minds come
fucking
together.
did it. We fucking did it.
All right.
Suck on that, private prison system.
TouchySubjectShow.com. Go to that. I think we're good.
We're good.
All right.
We fucking did it.
All right. Somehow we came around on that one.
Philip Seymour Hoffman died of heroin, dude. That's fucked up.
Oh shit.